I'm Hannah Lissitter. I specialise in wills, probate, tax and trusts and mental capacity work, and I'm based in the Ryde office in Melville Street on the Isle of Wight. I get asked this a lot. Probate is essentially a court order which authorises the executors to manage the higher value assets in an estate. What that really means is that when somebody dies, the money and property needs to be distributed either according to a will, if they've left a will, or according to the intestacy rules, which is a set of rules that manage what happens when somebody dies without a will. The probate, or letters of administration, are the court order giving permission to either the executors or the representatives to sell and cash in those assets and make sure that the right beneficiaries get the money. Different banks and building societies have different limits as to what money they will release with or without probate. So it's always difficult to know at the outset whether probate will be required. We definitely know that it will be needed when there is a property to sell or to transfer, but with the value of the assets and cash in the bank, it's never clear until the bank confirm what their limit is. Probate isn't always needed. Usually if there is a low value estate with no property, you wouldn't necessarily need probate, particularly if there is a will already appointing executors. So for example, if somebody has passed away in a care home with maybe 1 or 2 accounts and they've spent all of their money sadly on paying for care, then it's less likely that you will need probate. The bank will tell you when you contact them after somebody has passed away whether that will be needed or not. When somebody passes away, the first thing that you need to do is to register the death within 5 working days, and you also need to organise the funeral. Beyond that, there is no time pressure for any of the other roles. The important thing, first of all, is to enable the opportunity to grieve for that person, and after that it's a case of sorting out the paperwork and making sure that the banks and building societies are all organised. Notifying everybody of the death is the first step, and you will need to do that with the death certificate. Once you've notified people of the death certificate, they will also ask whether or not there's a will. If there's no will, then you may be able to sign a form to cash in the assets from the bank. So for example, the bank may give you a cheque or a bank transfer into your account to hold that money for the benefit of the ultimate beneficiaries. The beneficiaries will be the people listed in the intestacy rules, which may be the person that's dealing with the estate, but it may not be. The bank will ask you to sign an indemnity form saying that you promise that you will give it to the right people. If there are higher value assets, you will need to apply to the court for letters of administration. This is what the court will then give you if you are an appropriate person to legally authorise you to cash in the higher value assets and to sell property. The probate process has changed quite considerably over the last few years. Previously it was a paper-based application and there were different types of application that you could make, and you were able to go directly to the probate court if you were applying on a personal basis. Since the pandemic, there's been a massive drive to get things done online, which is considerably more convenient and has helped streamline the process. When you're applying for probate, there's certain information that you will need, such as what the assets of the estate are, what the liabilities of the estate are, and the personal details of the deceased. In applying for probate, you need to go into the government portal and to enter in all of this information in a pro forma, which will then go through to the probate court and they will assess the court application. If they're satisfied with it, it will be granted and you will be given a court order. This process can be straightforward if there aren't many assets and there's no tax to pay, but it can get considerably more complicated with the type of assets that you have, if there's property, and also if there is any inheritance tax to pay. The important thing to note is that if there's inheritance tax to pay, there are different forms to fill in and there are certain other steps that you need to take, not just the application for probate. For example, you need to account to HMRC for any of the assets, any of the liabilities, and work out exactly what tax needs to be paid. The at the current time, it's taking the probate court around 16 weeks to turn around an application from the moment that they receive it. This is in addition to the time that it takes the executors or administrators to get the relevant details from the banks or building societies and estate agents in the first place. So the whole process is taking between 4 and 6 months to get to the point of application. This is taking much longer than it ever used to. We used to say to people 2 to 8 weeks to turn around a probate application through the court, but the world has changed quite considerably and it's currently 16 weeks. But this can change at a moment's notice. This is completely dependent on the probate court, and they set the timescales as to what workloads they can manage. After probate's granted, the court sends you a one-page court order which you then need to send off to the relevant banks, building societies and account managers that hold shares. The probate form gets then sent off to the banks, building societies, conveyancer dealing with any property sale, and to any investment managers who will be looking after portfolios of stocks and shares. This is the authority they need, along with a signed encashment form, to be able to release the funds. So, how can we help? Every estate is different. Like every individual is different. We provide a bespoke service for each individual family to make sure that things are done properly and that it gives you peace of mind at a very, very difficult time. We offer different levels of service. For example, if you've been able to manage the gathering of information yourselves, we can just make a court application for you to make sure that it's done correctly and to save any time in it being stopped by the court. The other option that you have is to hand everything over to us and we will do the full administration. We offer fixed fees and different charging structures depending on the nature of what you would like us to do for you. We are here to support you with what you need. It's not for us to tell you what support you need. We are happy to work in collaboration with you to make the process as easy as possible. At Churches, we are highly experienced and highly qualified individuals who have been doing this for a long, long time. We particularly recommend seeking legal advice where there is a difficult family dynamic or where there may be inheritance tax to pay, or you may need to claim certain exemptions to ensure that inheritance tax is not payable. We are happy to offer an initial consultation to talk you through what needs to be done, and then you can make your choice from there as to what level of help you would like.